My name is Isla Redden, and I am a certified coach and parent teen mentor. And I work with parents of teenagers to help them navigate these very challenging and difficult years for our kids and to be able to remove whatever conflict or difficulty or lack of communication might be there and create a strong connection and relationship that's going to go through the teenage years into adulthood. And I am so happy to be here with my new friend, Joyce Ayers. We met recently, and Joyce is a divorce coach, but I'm going to give her the floor for her to introduce herself to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wonderful to be with you. Just really considering the kids in this. And so, divorce coach. And the part that I focus on is the emotional and mental parts of divorce, the transition that all everything we do has an emotion. Everything that we experience gets recorded in our cells and our neurology, and there's a story that we attach to it. So, when you're coming out of a relationship, we have a story about that. We have a story about our future, how it's going to look, and how everything is going to go. We have a story about we have stories about everything that are based on what we've experienced and what we predict will happen. So it's like rewriting that story for yourself and for your kids so that more of what you predict will happen won't be carried on through your kids. So that's where I focus all of my work on with my clients is kind of digging yourself out of that old story and having a new one.
Yeah, yeah. So easy to get buried in our stories because there's a lot of pain in there.
Hmm.
And so although we don't want to go into the pain, we live with triggers that put us there very, very frequently, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime that we call it a charge, anytime if something happens, someone says something, even a thought that you have, and you're the only one in the room, and you feel your body reacting. And many times we're so disassociated, like we're not even connected to our bodies. We don't even know how our bodies are reacting because we haven't said, "Hey, how do you feel about that?" um, but our bodies are already reacting to that trigger. And if we're not in sort of a calm, neutral place and not numbing, but just like, okay, so what? They're doing that. Or, like you're in the grocery store and somebody reaches for something next to you and you're like, no big deal. But if you get triggered by somebody in your space, even though they're not like right in front of your face, you could be like, hey, they're like, you get triggered. Like, what are you so close to me for? And the person's like, oh, I'm sorry. And you're like, but now you're all in your stuff. And they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't, I wasn't trying to be invasive, but we have a story around that we're not even aware of. And it's important to know what your triggers are because you're passing that down to your kids. It's what you're teaching your kids. You're teaching your kids how to react and how to respond to you, and therefore, what you really want doesn't happen. Like if you want your kids to clean the room or do their homework or whatever, right? Pick up after themselves. But there's this story that I can never have anything I want done. I don't matter. And they're always taking advantage. We have a story around it. We're feeding that energy to our kids. And imagine if you have a story about your former partner, your spouse, husband, whatever. Um, if you have a story about that, you're going to be triggered. And and as much as you try to put on a happy face and like, oh, your dad is this, your mom's this, the kids are going to know it's like you really don't feel that way because they're like little beacons of truth, and they know something's not right, something's off about what we're saying and the energy that we're putting off or the actions that we take. But we're trying to fake it, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
can't fake it to our kids. It's like you can't fake it with a dog or a pet. They sense our energy. So really noting what your triggers are, you can start to shift them. And there can be like a emotional safe place for you to go. Like, what is this trigger? Like, what is it that's being triggered? And there's a whole process I take people through. Not just, okay, now I know what it is. It's like now we can do something about that. And so when we have this awareness that we can start to create sort of a safe space and to explore that for ourselves and our kids. There's stability because we're not just bouncing off the wall every time we get triggered and then blaming someone else. We tend to do that, right? If
Yes,
they did that, or if they would only do this, then I could this, right? It's like, no, no, it starts with us. And I say that from experience. If he would only do that, then I could be happy. Then I could relax.
yes,
If my kids would only just like do what I
do
asked them to
do
do,
X,
my life
get
would be so much
Y.
easier.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
do X,
just
get
so
Y.
much, so much to say about that.
Yeah, yeah. So as we're thinking about here, so here we are. It's we're getting very close to Christmas, and the obviously I also work with divorced families with the children, but I'm wondering from your perspective, what would be the most important things that a divorced couple, or whether it's the mom or dad, that you would want them to keep in mind as they're working through this Christmas period, the holidays with their kids? Where do those triggers likely come up that we need to be really aware that we're not putting our relationships in jeopardy over situations that come up? Though if we were to have a different mindset about it, it would really help us be able to get through it.
There's two things that are going on in neuro linguistic programming, NLP. We talk about the away from and the towards. So you're coming into the holidays, things are different, and you can either move towards the future, which is okay, we're going to have new traditions. How do we want that to look? How are we going to create this new tradition? And what kind of fun can we have with that? And so everything is wide open and it's exciting, and the kids feel that. But if you're like trying to put on that face and you're away from, it's like, oh, Christmases are never going to be the same again, and all our stories. But you're like, hey, this year's going to be different. Your dad's not going to be here though. You got that attitude, you got that little bit of, and the kids, they feel it, and we're clinging to the past, and it's like, yeah, but you know, they are the one that wanted the divorce. So now you already have this like anger towards, like, they ruined our holidays, they ruined our traditions, and it'll never be good again. And that's away from. It's like, well, how am I supposed to create a new future, or a new something to look forward to when this is still there? It's like, well, whether it's recent or it's even been 3 years, it's like, do you really want to come into your holidays or birthdays or anything? Do you really want to carry around that away from mentality of all the things that you don't have, and you'll never have? And you know, how can you even think you can create a future thinking about the past? It's like, yeah, learn from the past, but don't bring it with you into the future. So like create a new possibility. And this is so important for the parents, adults, to be able to not just move on and stuff it, but like really move on. It's like, this is my life now. It's like, well, this really sucks because, like, it's not the life I wanted. Well, go, yeah, you didn't get married to plan to be divorced. But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, what's next? What's next, for you and your children? Things that you can be excited about and energized about. So, questions to ask is like, are you moving towards something with a new mindset, a new energy, intention, or are you dragging around the baggage of the past, hoping that something will change or shift? Because if you don't make that choice, then your kids are just going to be schluffed along with you on this ride. And do you want that for them? Especially, talking bad about the other person, or the little comments, right? The little remarks. Um, it's not helping you. It's not helping anyone. So what do you choose? Like, what are you going to choose?
In the work that I do, because I work primarily with teenagers, they're showing up. in these kinds of situations in a very, very different way as well, because they're picking up all of the energy that is being displayed, and they are adults in training at this point. You're not
Yeah.
dealing with a 10-year-old, you're dealing with a 16-year-old that already is moving towards independence, is already trying to figure out their own identity. And so I know that in those divorce situations, frequently when we're dealing with teenage children, we get stuck in this conflict of, I've got this teenager that is developing their own independence and trying to figure themselves out and not happy with me anyway, even if I was doing it all right.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get door slammed and eye rolls. And then on top of that, they're not happy at all because they're now having to navigate maybe two homes, the different relationships, different dynamics. And I think the importance of the fact that these things tend to escalate at holidays because of exactly what you're saying. We have expectations on traditions and the way things used to be, and we're playing the old story. And the importance, I think, of being able as the adult to step back and go, okay, well, how is this going to play out for my kids? And being able to put yourself with compassion in the shoes of your kids and not allow yourself to get triggered, or your buttons punched by these old behaviors, these old stories, become such a very, very important part of being able to make it through successfully, and be able to kind of get to the new year and go, I did it, I won. we made it through, we made it, and we had a joyful time, despite the challenges.
Yeah, it's less is better, less is more. So rather than trying to replicate all the things maybe you used to do, and like when we're going through all of these emotions, it takes a lot out of us, way more than physical, like the physical exertion of something. Going through this emotional phase, imagine it's like 10 times the amount of energy you need than going for a workout, right? Like, you're kind of tired after a workout. It's like, imagine 10 times that kind of tired feeling that you're carrying around. And it's so important to be that leader in your family for your children to see. And yeah, maybe, you could be having a lot of pushback from your child, but this is the result of what's been accumulating over time. It just didn't happen. It's been accumulation over whatever length of time of the interactions that you've had as parents, co-parenting in that relationship. Maybe you had different differences in how you wanted to parent or whatever it was, right? The kids have been exposed to that for a very long time. And now this ending of the relationship is like, it's like a cut. You can cut it and it can start to break away now. Um, and you could maybe be a little bit further ahead than your kids, but your kids are going to need time to catch up, and in their own time. And how do you know what they need? Well, just give them space and hold, be there for them. It's like, well, you have to go to your dad, you have to go to your mom, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's like, what is it that really has to happen right now? Like, maybe just watch a movie, or something, or I don't know, make popcorn. Keep it simple,
Yeah.
where there's not a lot of have tos, need tos, and so you can start to be the leader of your own destiny and the relationship that you're building with the kids. Because the kids may come around years later, right? But right now you're just laying this foundation for yourself so that they can settle, because like their nervous systems are all getting wired and triggered, and well, dad says this and mom says this, and it's like, how do you want to lead? How do you want to show up going forward? How do you want your kids to see you? And not that you're like, hey, I'm having a bad day, just not like you're trying to muster through every day and I can do this. Like, let them see that you're human. um but be strong in that, and keep things simple. as simple as possible. Yeah, but we have to have this big meal because we've always had a big meal. Well, again, the expectation, because the kids want all the traditions. It's like, okay, well, maybe instead of getting the whole turkey, you just get a turkey breast, right? Or you get a little chicken. Like what do you have the capacity for right now that, like the more exhausted we are, the more stressed we are, the more reactive we're going to be, the less capacity we're going to have for our kids as they're going through this to be there for them. So just take it easy on yourself, so you can have that wisdom, that inner wisdom, that intuition that says, yeah, like, and that way you can tune into your kids more because the more we're in our stuff, the less of a radar we have to navigate our kids.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's very, very, I think it's wise indeed if we can do the best we can to step into imagining what it's like for them, because they're not going to tell us in a way in which they're going to give us direction. They're going to tell us by getting upset or responding in ways that we don't necessarily like. We're often going to see that, eye roll, slam door, no, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to go there, or whatever. But if we can just understand that the ground is moving too quickly underneath them, and then figure out, well, if that was me, what would I want there? And then when you can put yourself into taking the breath and go, okay, if it was me, I would want calm. I'd want to see calm. I'd want to feel calm. Okay, how can I create that calm now for my kids? And I think that's so important that we, as you say, it's really hard to give up on all those traditions and what has been, but at the same time, it just adds so much stress to life if we somehow feel obliged to the big meal and the turkey, all of these things. And at the end of the day, that's not what people value. That's not love made manifest, is not making the turkey. it's
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 not about
something else.
yeah. And you don't have the big tree if that's something that you decorate your house with. Maybe you have like a little table topper or something else that represents, I got a what do you call it? A rosemary
Oh
kind of
yes,
tree.
yeah,
And so it's like about 3 feet high,
right.
and I stuck some bows on it because it's like it needs to be, and I plopped it on a table because I don't have space for a really big tree. And like I really don't feel like getting the tree out this year, but I do want to decorate. It's like, okay, I'm going to decorate in this way and kind of just let your heart lead you. And we talked about kids, getting angry and yelling and slamming doors. Well, there's also kids that isolate and they
Yes,
go they go inside and they shut down. Like they go inside and they shut the door and they don't want any interaction. And what would it be like to just play some calming music? Maybe not the Christmas music because that brings up things for them, or maybe you bake the cookies and it's like, oh, we always used to have like all of us, like maybe do something a little different so there isn't the reminder of all the things that were, um, again, those expectations. It's like, well, we always used to make cookies or build a gingerbread houses, but kind of let them lead. It's like, oh, well, we can certainly do whatever it is that you want. Maybe not make, 12 different types of cookies, but hey, how about we maybe just make your favorite two? Again, keeping it simple. And then if you have the energy, make a third one another day.
mm-hmm.
Again, just kind of following their lead. And it's like, or this is dumb. Like they might say, this is dumb. And it's like, maybe just make a batch of cookies and, then they're like, oh, what's going on in here? That smell, that, ooh, that whatever cookie is their favorite. It might bring them out, right? Or calm them down. But not like, hey, we have to make cookies together. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, just make the cookies because you want to make them.
yeah,
Decorate a little tree because you want, whatever. Keep some of the things that are familiar and comforting for you, for both of you, and remember to enjoy them, like the things that you used to enjoy about them, not that, well, again, that away from. it's never going to be the same. Of course, it's not going to be the same. Does that mean you stop doing those things that you really enjoyed? Because like maybe you created that tradition because it's something you wanted to do. It's like you grew up making cookies and you brought that into your relationship with the kids. And so that's something that's yours. And just because the marriage isn't there anymore, that relationship doesn't mean like, well, I guess I'll just stop making cookies because that's been a part of your life for a really long time. So just, hold those things special and continue them for, again, it's like it creates this stability in that you can carry through this season.
Yeah, 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 100%, 100%. I think it's, I think for all of the parents out there that are maybe even not only not looking forward to this season, but have a sense of kind of a little bit of dread. I don't know how it's going to go. I think that to remember, as you say, keep it as simple as you can, and know that what your kids are looking for, no matter their age, what they want more than anything else is they want to know that you're present for them
Yeah.
and that you care deeply and that you love them unconditionally. And if you can demonstrate that in whatever way feels right, that's a win. Because that's really at the end of the day what we're all looking for. We want to be seen, heard, and know that we matter. And if we can keep that top of mind rather than the decorations or the gifts or all these other aspects that go around the holidays, I think that would be the way to feel like I've had a joyful celebratory time with my child in this season.
Yeah, it's like help like instead of I don't like I anytime I approach my child, they yell at me. And it's like, okay, rather than asking something of them, like, how do you feel? What's going on? What can I do for you? Because they could just be really overwhelmed and too much stimulation. Just say, hey, I see that, maybe you're having a little of a hard time. Let me know how I can support you if there's anything I can do. And then you just sort of like hands off,
Yeah.
step back,
Move
give them
away.
space. Not like I got, yeah, I can fix you, I can help you. It's like acknowledging to them what you see. And then there's nothing else you need to do because that goes a long way. Just think of when you're upset and a friend calls and you're like, oh, I'm doing fine. And like, I can hear it in your voice that you're not really fine. And even just that witnessing is like, yeah, you're right. I'm just having a really hard day. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you want to talk about it? No. Okay. Do you want me to call you later? Yeah. Okay. So you give the person space, not 20 questions. What's going on? What are you feeling? What happened? Like you were at your dad's, you're at your mom's. Like, what did they say? What's going on? It's like, no, no, they're already overwhelmed. And our job is just to hold space for them, draw them out. Just say, hey, you're a little quieter than, like maybe they're really quiet, but you're like, hey, I notice you're just a little extra quieter today. Um, would you like me to rub your feet? Huh? You never rub my feet. Well, I don't know. It just kind of a thought that came to mind. They're like, okay, but then don't talk.
right,
Especially the
right,
ones
right.
that want to be silent, don't talk.
Yeah,
And another thought I was having is, even though we're adults, we're parents, we were kids once. And maybe your parents divorced and you went through this. And you're like, well, I never want that to happen for my kids and my family. Well, that was your experience. It's not your kids' experience. So don't assume that they're going through the exact same thing that you did. And maybe your triggers are coming up, that of the whatever the
they were your
disappointments in your own
past.
yeah,
Yeah,
in your own
yeah,
upbringing.
yeah,
And now this is a time of year that you're getting triggered. So take care of yourself and maybe call someone that you need to get, we call it complete, that maybe a conversation that, you call your mom or your dad and just like, hey, I just remembering how hard that was and how difficult, and it must be really difficult for my kids, and just have that conversation maybe with your parent on a different level, not as a parent child, even though you're a parent yourself. I mean, maybe start clearing the air, not what do you call it? Your laundry, hanging out your dirty laundry,
right.
but just having that that level of conversation, just, hey, that was really difficult when I was growing up. Um, and you have a different perspective maybe now because
Mm.
now you're going through it and your
As a
kid,
parent, yeah.
kids. And so that's a wonderful opportunity to go through what you didn't allow yourself to go through when you were growing up. This is your opportunity to go through that memory, those emotions, and start releasing them. Because when you can just love on yourself and how hard that was for you and the disappointments or how mad you were, by acknowledging that to yourself, you start to release it, to release the energy and the trigger so you have more capacity for your own kids.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, wise indeed, Joyce. And we could probably this is topic number one. I'm sure we can have a whole bunch of other topics, but for right now, let's we'll leave parents with these thoughts that they can take forward, and maybe even if there's one or two little nuggets here that you find useful, that's great. And in the what we'll do is in the notes below, the description below, we'll leave how to contact either Joyce or Joyce and I. Either of us will leave you our contact information, and any questions or any help or support that you feel would be useful to you, please get in touch with us. This is what we do from our hearts, and we wish you a wonderful holiday season going forward.
Thank you, Isa.